like that.
You'll notice the blue light comes on.
Good evening, everyone. We'd like to call our meeting to order. Just point out our emergency fire exits. We have doors on either side of the blue curtains, but of course the doors you came in and to the left, or to the left the way I'm facing, is also our fire exits, should we need them. Hopefully not. We don't have any public comments, Karen, right? Nobody signed up, so I will refrain from reading that, and then take us to our first motion needed to approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion? Damon? Second, Joyce. Any questions, comments? If there's a time to change, at least the consent calendar, this is the best time. Nothing? Okay. All in favor?
Our new member was very late on the approval.
So, I was going to say, right, is it 6-0 or 7-0? Because the next item on the agenda, still 6-0, right? Next item on the agenda, which we need a motion, is to approve or that the board appoints Judy O'Leary Sargent to fill the board position that was vacated by Marilyn Montalban. So do I have a motion for approval? Maureen, second. Joyce? Comments, questions? Could get tough here, Judy. No, okay. All in favor? And we are back to 7. Congratulations. Officially, though, I need to have you take the oath of office. So if you will stand, I assume I've been in Boy Scouts too long. I almost want to have you raise your hand, but you don't have to do that. If you'll repeat after me, I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of the board member of the Board of Education to the best of my ability.
of the Board of Education to the best of my ability.
Very good. Congratulations.
Now I can vote? Okay, quickly.
You
apparently.
just sign this, regard this, and just pass it down the chair.
Okay.
Congratulations. It's good to be back to 7 after being 6 for several months. We have a board commendation, right? Maureen's already taken the place, so
ready.
take it.
And I'd like to ask Anna Krupenbacher to come down, please. In front of you, you see the PowerPoint presentation of our new winning logo for Red Ribbon Week. And Anna's the person who designed this, so the reason we're here tonight is to celebrate Red Ribbon Week. As you begin to see all the red ribbons around our community, you're going to know we embrace Red Ribbon Week wholeheartedly. This effort is the most effective drug prevention event ever held nationwide. It began in 1988 as response to a drug enforcement agent, Enrique Camarena, being killed by drug traffickers in Mexico. So wearing red ribbons is a symbol of our commitment to providing a drug-free future to our nation's youth. Red Ribbon Week is an opportunity for everyone to come together to celebrate healthy lifestyles in our schools and our community. So we encourage all families to come to continue to promote healthy lifestyles and to celebrate all the activities that are taking place in our schools throughout Red Ribbon Week. This is a great way to show your support for drug-free youth. Now, last spring, the Fairport Parent and Chemical Prevention Advisory Council conducted a logo contest for our 5th grade DARE students, and you were one of them. You were at Brooks Hill at the time, and now you're at Martha Brown. So the challenge was to design a logo for the Fairport community based on the national theme, which was "Our Future is Key, so stay drug-free." And you can see what she did, our future with the key saying no drugs. You can see what a great job she did. And I was part of the team that got an opportunity to select some of those semifinalists, so I saw yours earlier. It was very nice, thanks. So the winning design has been printed on 8,500 red ribbons. It will be worn by youth and adults in our community during Red Ribbon Week, which is October 22nd to 28th. And Anna is the designer. On the behalf of the Board of Education, I want to congratulate you on designing such an impressive logo. And I have a question for you. Is your picture that we see, that CPAC's just finished doing a video, and they had Mr. Barker presenting an award to the CPAC winner, was it you or was it last year's winner? You don't know, so you don't know Mr. Barker yet? You met him. Okay, so it is her? It was her. So there, she doesn't know how famous she is, but when that video comes out, we're going to see your picture as well. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Tender, and thank you very much, Anna. Congratulations. Nice job.
Good evening. My name is Brett Provenzano. I am the proud superintendent of the Fairport Central School District. If I had to start a school district from scratch, I would first start with an incredible and dynamic parent base that we have in the great community that we frequently see in so many different venues in our school. But when I get a little bit closer, I would then pick the 7 leaders that we have who represent our Board of Education. They are our strongest advocates. You see their work being played out behind the scenes. You see it indirectly in the great electives that we have, the robust extracurricular activities that are woven throughout our schools, through our commitment to developmentally appropriate practices and play-based learning. You see it in their advocacy. You see it when we talk about what's best for students, what's best for educators, and what's best for our community. You see it when we talk about future planning, all priorities of the Board of Education. The Board of Education works tirelessly. They're working when others aren't working. They're thinking about our schools when others are going about their business. And that's why we have incredible schools, because of their leadership. As part of the School Board Recognition Week, I have the pleasure of welcoming our principals, PTSA representatives, and students who are here to recognize the Fairport Board of Education members for their service to our students and our community. These 7 board members, as educational advocates for all of our children, they are willing to take a stand on issues that affect our children and that are important for our community. Most importantly, in everything they do, they simply care and love our children. PTSA representatives and students are here tonight to thank board members for their commitment and contribution to our community. I would like to first ask Ms. Meredith Cluse to come up to recognize Mrs. Marty Cardona.
Good evening, and we wanted to bring 2 members of our PTA board, our PTA co-presidents, Michelle Wagner and Heather Mirioni, to speak with you, along with some of the grandchildren of Mrs. Cardona, who we will honor this evening, and Brooks Hill students. So I'll turn it over to them.
Good evening. On behalf of the staff, students, and families of Brooks Hill, we would like to formally recognize Mrs. Marty Cardona this evening. We appreciate Mrs. Cardona's dedication and commitment to the Fairport school community, and specifically to Brooks Hill School. We know that Brooks Hill, of all the Fairport schools, has been so significantly impacted by her love of education.
In Fairport, we are fortunate to have a Board of Education and members like Mrs. Cardona who are committed to providing all of our students with a quality education that supports the growth of the whole child. Tonight, we have Maribel Cardona, Maeve Mulconry, and Brenna Mulconry, Mrs. Cardona's granddaughters, representing Brooks Hill School during this important recognition.
Brooks Hill School would like to thank our grandma, Mrs. Cardona, for helping Fairport students, staff, and administrators. She's a very caring person, and tonight we are pleased to recognize her. 2 books will be donated to the Brooks Hill School Library in honor of our grandma.
When she was the principal of Brooks Hill, she would read the staff a picture book on the opening day. This year, Mrs. Cluse repeated the tradition with a book called A Letter to My Teacher, about the impact a teacher had on her student. The other book is called Monster Trucks. It was written by Mrs. Joy Keller, who Mrs. Cardona hired as a teacher at Brooks Hill. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you.
We're going to go right over to Grandma and take her the books, okay? Thank you, Bill.
I would like Mr. Robert Clark, principal of Fairport High School, to come forward to recognize Damon Buffum. I think you're flying solo tonight, all right? Yeah. Your PTA rep.
We'll take care of that. It's always so incredibly hard to follow cute. We're going to do our best. I just want to take an opportunity. I'm not going to disagree with you. I just want to take the opportunity before I turn things over to our very capable presenter to thank the Board of Education, most importantly for all the support as we've moved through this construction project over the last year. We appreciate your dedication to everything we do here at FHS, and especially all of the renovations. They've been fantastic. I also want to take the opportunity to welcome a few of our friends sitting up there with Mr. Tony Axton. We have Anne Marie O'Mahony and John Lyons, who are counterparts from Carrigaline Community School. In town late last night, about midnight, we made it back to FHS, and we're celebrating 20 years of this partnership in the Irish Exchange. And Grace was kind enough to bring two of her Irish friends with her to watch this presentation. So without further ado, Grace.
Hi. Yeah, sorry. Good evening. I'm here tonight to recognize my father, Damon Buffum. Damon has been a member of the school board here for 5 years. During these 5 years, he's been dedicated to the school and to his work on the board. Aside from being a member of the Board of Ed, Damon also works at Cisco Systems, and because of this, we'll be presenting him with the book Future Crimes by Mark Goodman. I know that at Cisco, Damon works with technology. I don't really understand what he does, to be honest. But one thing I do know is that he puts a lot of focus on cybersecurity. He wears a shirt around that says, "Ask me about cybersecurity," so I have. And this book is a New York Times bestseller that talks a lot about the author's time working with the FBI, and the emerging threats of hacking and cybersecurity. So I hope figured this was a good choice for you. Once again, I'd like to thank you for all of your work on the board. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Nice job, Grace. Think about it. I would like to now have our friends from Dudley School, led by Dr. Finger, and Mr. Charno, is he here? No. To come forward. Dudley and Northside, come on up. Yep.
This is going to be good.
Good evening, everyone. It's our pleasure to recognize board members tonight for your hard work and dedication to us. We actually have the pleasure of presenting the proclamation, and we have some Dudley Northside students here to do that. We also want to introduce our Northside and Dudley PTA officers, so we'll have Dr. Finger do that.
Again, I just want to thank the Board of Education for all that you do to support all of our Fairport schools. We certainly couldn't do it without you. From Dudley, our PTA President, right here, Stacia Liu, and then from Northside, our PTA President, Sonia Varillo.
Good evening, and we brought cute in spades here. So I get to introduce the cute dragons from Dudley. We have tonight Brinley Liu, we have Lily Finger, and we have Aiden Moretter with us.
And from Northside School, we have our Northside heroes, Noah Moretter, Jack Finger, and Christopher Varillo.
Proclamation. Whereas this week marks School Board Recognition Week in the School District of Fairport in the state of New York, and
Whereas the members of the Board of Education, Mrs. Cardona, Mrs. Kostek, Mr. Glover, Mrs. Nump, Mr. Buffum, Mr. Forsgren, and our newest Board of Education member, Mrs. O'Leary Sargent, have demonstrated their commitment to supporting and caring for the Fairport community. And
whereas this support and caring is the highest priority because the children of Fairport represent the future. And
whereas the outstanding effort and dedication of the Board of Education continues to make our school community exemplary place to learn and grow, and whereas the students of Dudley School and Northside School salutes to those committed to this challenging and worthwhile endeavor, extends best wishes for successful and rewarding observance.
now therefore we, the Dudley and Northside School community, along with all the Fairport schools, do hereby proclaim that the week of October 23rd through 27th is the Board of Education Recognition in Fairport, and urge all raters to come together to participate in giving thanks and to praise our members. In witness whereof, we hereunto set our hands and cause the seal of Dudley School and Northside School to be affixed this 24th day of October 2017.
Good job, buddy. Thank you very much for that wonderful proclamation. Heartfelt. I would like Amy Busby and Mr. Green from Jefferson Avenue School to come forward to recognize Board of Education member, Mr. Kevin Glover. It looks like Miss Busby's coming up. Solo.
So we also, from Jefferson Avenue, just want to say thank you to all of you for all you do for our staff, students, and families on a daily basis. And we have a couple of our student council members here to recognize Mr. Glover.
Hi, I am Ryan Kane.
And I'm Sophia Foisey.
We are both fifth graders at Jefferson Avenue School. We are here tonight to honor Mr. Kevin Glover. We met with Mr. Glover last week to learn a little bit about him and also about what the Board of Education does.
Mr. Glover is one of the newest members of the Board of Education. He just started this past summer. Mr. Glover wants to be on the Board of Education to help make decisions about the district's future. He wants to make sure that all kids get the education his daughters got at Fairport.
This is the year of kindness at JA. We asked Mr. Glover about kindness that he was witnessed in the Fairport schools. He talked about how people treat one another. We are all different. We have different abilities and different strengths. We also have different needs. No matter what, in Fairport, people are treated kindly.
We chose the book We Are All Wonders to donate to our library in honor of Mr. Glover. Every fifth grader reads the book Wonder. We're All Wonders is a picture book that shares the same message of kindness in a way that is appropriate for all ages. As the book says, look with kindness and all you will always find wonder.
Thank you, Mr. Glover, for being a part of the Fairport Board of Education. Thank you for all you do for the students, staff, and families in the district.
I would ask Johanna Perrin, Principal, Mr. Patrick Groh, to come forward with his team of JP students to recognize Board of Education member, Ms. Joyce Kostick.
Thanks, Brett. First of all, from the JP family, I'd like to thank everybody on the Board of Ed for all they do for Fairport and our families and certainly our schools and kids. And I'd like to introduce our PTSA President, Alyssa Ostrander. And we've got students Lindsay Fox, Camry Rizzo, Sammy Mantell, and Macy Ostrander.
Thank you to Mr. Provenzano and the board for having us here at this meeting during School Board Appreciation Week. Joanna Perrin Middle School is pleased to honor, recognize, and thank Mrs. Kostick this evening. And we are very thankful for all the work she and the Board of Education does for Fairport all year.
Through our sources at JP, we know that Mrs. Kostick is a great believer in our social justice, and we have decided to pick a book in her honor that we will be using at JP for a long time. We hope that you have some time to read it and wanted to let you and the rest of the board know that you are always welcome at JP to see some of the great things we are doing to honor you and your giving spirit. We have purchased copies of Refugee by Alan Gratz for the JP Library.
Refugee is the story of 3 individuals throughout different points of history who go on harrowing journeys in search of refuge. All will face unimaginable dangers, from drownings to bombings to betrayals. But there is always the hope of tomorrow. And although the characters are separated by continents and decades, shocking connections will tie their stories together in the end. This novel tackles topics both timely and timeless: courage, survival, and the quest for home.
Again, all of us at JP want to say thanks to Mrs. Kostick and the rest of the board for all you do. We hope you enjoy the rest of the Board of Education Recognition Week and have a wonderful year.
Ms. Kostick, 17 years? 16th year. I think that deserves a round of applause as well. 16 years of commitment. I would like Mr. David Dunn to come forward from Martha Brown, principal, to recognize Board of Education President Peter Forsgren.
Good evening, and I want to echo the sentiments from almost everybody this evening. Thanks to all of the Board of Education for all your hard work. We got some tough decisions facing us as a district, and I concur with Superintendent Provenzano. We got the right 7 of you here to help us through it. It's my pleasure on behalf of the Martha Brown School community to recognize Mr. Peter Forsgren. And Mr. Clare's got a preschool open house tonight with his son, and I think Mrs. Hosford, our PTSA, has got a carpool with her family. So unfortunately, I'm here with 3 outstanding students. We've got Grace Cardinal, our Student Council President, Ella Savoca, Vice President, and maybe the more important title of all, Emma Forsgren, Peter's daughter. And Pete, just as a side note, I think it was 5 years ago that your son Dallin was in 7th grade doing a very, very similar presentation, and I can't believe that he's a senior. Where did those 5 years go? But anyway, thank you very much, and look forward to having your son William for another 3 more years. We'd love to have that longevity with the Board of Education members as parents at Martha Brown. So thank you. Grace?
The book Martha Brown is dedicating in honor of Mr. Forsgren is Wish Tree by Katherine Applegate. It is about a tree that the community ties ribbons of wishes on in hopes that they'll come true. Mr. Forsgren, as president of the school board, you work with the other members to ensure that all of our wishes for the Fairport district come true.
Martha Brown School will also have on display in the library, in your honor, this wish tree that we have made wishes on.
Thank you for all of your time and dedication to the Fairport schools.
This year, my dad, Peter Forsgren, was elected to be board president. He debated about it for a long time because of the extra time and meetings involved. In our family, we all know he enjoys serving on the Board of Education. He works hard at growing his business and makes a point to spend time with us. He always brings understanding to our conversation along with a good laugh. In his Board of Education life, he enjoys the discussions they have, which are sometimes, from what I hear, very lengthy. My dad loves hearing different sides of the story. I'm sure all 7 members of the Board of Education enjoy hearing different opinions from members of the community and helping to resolve problems or steering them to the right people that can help. We, the students and teachers in the Martha Brown family, would like to donate a book in honor of my dad, Peter Forsgren. The book is called The Wishing Tree, and it is about a tree that grants wishes in a small community. Sometimes the tree has to look at wishes with a different perspective, as members of the community have different opinions. Many times the members of the Board of Education have to do this as well. Dad, thank you for the time you have given to our community and schools. From the very best school in the world, Martha Brown.
Great job, Martha Brown team. Great job. Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Last, but definitely, and certainly not least, I would like to have Principal Mrs. Pam Serrani come forward to recognize Maureen Up, who's been serving on the board for 20 years. 20 years of service, servicing our community and students.
Good evening. Joining me tonight are the co-presidents of the class of 2021, Quinn O'Connor. Quinn, raise your hand, Quinn. And Sean Waddington. And before I turn the mic over to them, just want to let you know our Minerva DeLand Fairport High School PTSA President Linda Van Heel would have been here, but she is attending her son's concert in Webster tonight, so she was sorry to miss tonight's celebration. And before I pass on to them, just thank you to the board members for all of your years of service, for the time that you put into the work that you do for our community. We definitely appreciate it. Guys?
Good evening. As Ms. Serrani said, I'm Quinn O'Connor, and this is Sean Waddington. I would like to begin by thanking you for the opportunity to express our gratitude to the Board of Education members. On behalf of the students and staff at Minerva DeLand, we would like to recognize the commitment shown by Ms. Maureen Up. Ms. Nupp was elected as a member of the Fairport Board of Education in 1998 and is currently the longest-serving board member. Throughout her years on the Board of Education, Ms. Nupp has advocated for the need to educate the whole child. She's been a strong supporter of the arts and technology integration and openly advocated for the need to avoid a one-size-fits-all educational system. Ms. Nupp is also known for openly congratulating and celebrating all student accomplishments.
To recognize and honor the outstanding commitment that Ms. Nupp has shown throughout her 20 years on the Board of Education, we will be placing a new book in our library. The book is called Choose to Matter, Being Courageously and Fabulously You, and was written by a 2-time Olympic gold medalist and former captain of the U.S. women's national soccer team, Julie Foudy. Building on her own guiding principle of leadership is personal, not positional, Ms. Foudy has written a book designed to guide, teach, and inspire readers to find their voice, think differently, empower others, and live boldly. On her opening pages, she writes, "Life doesn't just happen, you happen to life." Using humorous and powerful stories of strong women, she helps the reader get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and has written a roadmap to help you unleash your most courageous self.
In conclusion, on behalf of the class of 2021 and the entire staff at Minerva DeLand School, thank you, Ms. Nupp, for your years of service and the impact you have on the Fairport Central School District.
From cybersecurity to leadership to social justice, I'm always amazed how our schools represent and pick books that parallel and mirror the passions of our board members. I'm grateful for our Board of Education. I say it frequently. I'm honored to serve. So much of what you do, like I said, is being played out in so many different ways. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment. And thank you for all the wonderful work that you do for our students, our staff, and our community. Congratulations, Board.
Hey, Brett, I just want to say 2 years ago I got a book about not talking on my cell phone when I was driving, so I feel like I'm getting better.
It had a positive impact on him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brett, principals, PTSA presidents, students. Thank you so much for taking your time this night, and we appreciate it. It is a real joy to be of service to the community. We will take a break right now because we are thinking, even though we really enjoy our long and lengthy conversations and meetings, we don't expect that the children will. So you're welcome to leave if you like at this time. Ready then? Oops, sorry. What's wrong with this table? Hannah, sorry. Yeah.
That doesn't look good, buddy.
No, it's like it's something. We will get started again with a tight agenda. And with conflicting schedules, we are going to go immediately to a presentation by our auditor, Mr. Ray Wager. Or do I start off with you, Matt? Okay, so please come on down, Mr. Wager. We're looking forward to hearing from you. Just right in the middle there.
How's that? Does that work? All right, thank you. Good evening. This is wonderful. Right on time, and I was just talking to somebody the other day that an hour and a half last night of presentations, and they were all very good, but it did take a long time. But it's a great month with everything going on. I'll give you a quick overview as far as your financial position and how things ended up last year. You continue to be in very good financial condition. Right? Your balance sheet is very positive. You still have very good reserves. What happened last year is that your operating budget developed about $1 million of surplus. However, you transferred about $4.7 million out of capital reserve into capital projects, which is what it's for. So your total equities actually came down $3.7 million. Okay? You still have about $20 million in reserves, so you still have a very positive balance sheet going forward. And your budget did develop some surplus, which was good, and you use the money in accordance with the way the reserves are set up. So that really was all very positive. We had a very good meeting last week with your audit committee. We went over your budget, we went over your reserves, we went over your long-term planning. Everything really seems to fall into line. Your other funds continue to be in good shape. So we didn't have anything that we found in the audit that was any significant finding. We had no major journal entries. If we have adjustments when we come in to do the audit, and if we have to adjust your records and correct your records, we have to inform you if they're large and significant. We did not have any of those. All right, so that indicates that your accounting and the records and the reports that you're getting on an ongoing basis do have integrity and are accurate, which is obviously very good. And it makes sense, because if we have to come in and adjust something by $1 million, that means there's something during the year that didn't happen in the accounting records. So we didn't have that as a problem. So that's very positive. You also have a management letter, very small management letter with really only a couple items. And I believe in the management letter, the district response is included. It's rolled in so that you have the comments from our staff, plus you have the corrective action that most things have already been addressed at this point, which is all very good. That all has to be put on your website, sent to Albany, etc., so everybody can see that. So overall, it's a very good financial report.
Just, if I could ask a couple
Sure.
of clarifying questions, and I do that I want to be in public in clarifying a couple of things. So you talked about our reserves being in good shape, and you gave an approximate balance of $20 million
In that
reserves.
range.
And those are allocated.
Yes.
And lawfully allocated to certain purposes, right?
Restricted purposes.
Right, restricted purposes. So, and just for historical purposes, our reserves went from a high of about 45 million at one time. I don't know if you've looked at trends of reserves over a period of time. So we do have 20 million of allocated funds.
Right.
But that's down from.
It is down.
From 45. So
Yes.
from a long-term trending perspective,
Right.
we're good, but it's not a good.
Right. Over the last 4 or 5 years, yeah, your total reserves are down from what they were as a high.
Okay. And then you talked about a budget surplus.
Mhm.
And you said we're using that appropriately. And so if you could just explain what that is.
All right, basically, a budget surplus represents, when you close the books, you have surplus revenues, which are revenues in excess of budget, and on the expense side, you have expense that comes in under budget. So the combination of those two items as long as they are as large as your appropriated fund balance, which are your dollars coming out of fund balance and reserves to balance your budget, as long as you have enough surplus to replace what you're appropriating, then you'll break even. So if you have more than what you appropriate when you set the budget, that develops a surplus, and if you have less, it'll be an operating deficit, and that'll erode some of your surplus. Okay? So you had enough surplus to replace the fund balance, and you had about an extra $1 million.
And what did we do with the $1 million?
Oh, that got transferred, I believe, to employee retirement contribution
Okay,
reserve.
great. I wanted to clarify that
Yep.
that went somewhere appropriately and planned.
Absolutely.
Right, okay, great.
Mm-hmm. No, excellent question. Okay, anything else? Now, what we use in the audit committee is an executive summary. So if you haven't seen that, it's like a 5-page document. Hopefully you can get a copy of that, and it's about as simple as I can make the financial report. The full audit report is 57 pages. It has great information, but it is kind of hard to get through. But the little summary, I think, is a good document to have. Okay? So again, you had good operations, but you spent down your total equities by $3.7 million. Okay?
And much of that being related to our construction projects, right? Which exactly what, as you mentioned, it was designed for. That's why
Yes.
we put them in reserve in the first place.
Yep, exactly.
Great.
Anything else? Any other question with the budget, with your equities, your fund balance? So again, when you budget and you set the amount of money that you're going to use to help offset taxes, that amount of money, you need to have surplus in the next budget in order to replace it. So if you can keep that dollar amount as low as you can, that'll take a little pressure off the budget. Okay? Makes sense? Anything else? That's all I have.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for your time last week with the audit committee and coming in today.
Okay, you are more than welcome.
We will formally adopt or accept the audit later in the meeting. So,
Excellent,
thanks, Ray.
thank you.
Yep. Have a good evening. Off to another one? Yes. Okay, we are on to the communication section of our meeting tonight. Unfortunately for Kirabel, I understand he became ill, but has a substitute here, right? Hannah Socker for the student advisory report.
Hannah, you could just make sure that gray button is pressed so you can be mic'd up.
Okay, I think that's good. So hi, I'm Hannah Socker again. I'm a Fairport here at Fairport High School, or a senior here at Fairport High School. I just wanted to start off by thanking the Board of Education for always supporting the students and for making all your decisions with the best interests of the students in mind. All the constant activities and fun things that happen at the high school and all the schools wouldn't be possible without the hard work of all of you. So some of the things that have been going on at the high school recently, homecoming 2 weeks ago, that was super fun, especially as a senior. Just seeing everyone dress up, and it was a little bittersweet, it being my last one, especially I'm on the varsity cheer team, and at the community pep rally when we were on the field and just seeing hundreds of people on the field all cheering like for Fairport, it was just such a cool feeling. And I know a main thing I'm looking for now in a college is that same pride, even though I know no one does it like Fairport. Also, this week, as you know, is Red Ribbon Week. There's red ribbons all in the halls of Fairport High School, and it's just really cool to see, like, basically everyone has one on their backpack. People get really into it, and more than just the drugs, I think during Red Ribbon Week, people are just more aware of their actions and are just naturally kinder to people, and that's really cool to see. Especially, I'm a member of the student council, and just to see like what we've put into action, people are actually accepting of, it's just really nice to see. And then also, I'm in a class called the Leadership Seminar, which is where about 100 kids went to Washington, D.C. a few weeks ago, and We met with senators. My group personally met with the U.S. Trade Representative. Some people got into the executive building. So this week we have been giving presentations to our class, and in a few weeks we're going to be giving them to our parents. So it's been an amazing experience with that, and a lot of kids have been really stressed about it, but today was the last one, so I think we're good. So those are the main things. Also, just as the quarter has been going on, a lot of the teachers have reached out and give help to kids, and it's just, I've really noticed it this year even more than ever, that teachers at the high school especially are just super willing to like meet during their lunch period, come in before school, after school, even though they have busy lives outside of just teaching. So that's been really nice to see too. Thank you again for letting me speak on behalf of Fairport students, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Hannah, for stepping in. Our best to Kirabel, and hope he feels better. President's report, I just have mostly gratitude. I wanted to express it to, we had 9 people apply, if you were not aware, to the empty board position. Judy, we are ecstatic to have you. I want those who, if at all they might be listening, probably not, but anyway, to say thanks to them, because it's calling around and expressing our gratitude for them applying. I'm afraid that sometimes it sounds perhaps like just a platitude, and that wasn't the case. We had 9 excellent opportunities to appoint someone here, and we've made a great decision, no doubt, but thank you to the others. I hope they will stay involved. Homecoming was awesome. Brett, the team put together a lot of work. I was just so impressed by the crowds, and whoever you put in charge of the weather, please make sure that person gets that job again, right? And the audit was awesome. I wanted to share something that Ray had asked when we asked. He mentioned about the management letter, and we asked about the couple comments that were on there as findings. I think I asked if they were findings, and he said they were more like suggestions. That's how minor it was. And all in my 6th year here now on the audit committee doing that, this was, I think, our best. And they've always been good. We've never had issues, but this was the best. They were just so minor. So to Matt and team, thank you, well done. It's good to have that kind of praise coming from Ray, to know that finances are in good shape, being accounted for, and that we can share that with everybody. And then to all...
Just a quick, is it okay if I ask a question?
No, it's my presentation. Yes, go ahead.
Well, only, was there any suggestions on things that we need to modify around the audit? Things that we should look at?
It was just mine, yeah. There was hardly anything there.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, it was good. I just want to emphasize that. It was a great audit and straightforward. So thank you, not to us. But to the board members, Damon, everybody, thank you. I know the number of meetings you attend with everybody else. I know you spent weekends up, I'm sure it was difficult in Lake Placid of all places, but it was a weekend away with a wedding to get back to and other things, and we look forward to hearing more about what you've learned up there. Sorry that all of us couldn't attend. All the interviews, it's been a busy month, and of course we know it won't let up. So, but thank you for continuing. I just feel your energy all the time. I'm grateful for it. So Brett is going to kind of combine C and D as he always does, but we're, as normal, can interrupt and ask questions as he goes along. But his report, as well as where we stand on our long-term plan, keeping that moving forward.
Do you like how I said, hey, let's combine them, pretending like I had some control over it? That's great. I'm coming front and center here so I can review my notes and make sure I'm on the same page. So thank you for allowing me to share all the exciting things that are occurring in our district. And I think it's important that we recognize there's many incredible things occurring in our district. And I said it earlier, and I'm saying it again, that we just do it in Fairport. We expect these things to happen, but there is a heartbeat here that is second to none. I think Hannah said that she's trying to find that in the colleges, universities that she's trying to search out for her future, but we have a heartbeat, and that heartbeat was alive and well at our homecoming. I know you guys were at Lake Placid experiencing the joy of that conference, and I know you learned a lot of good things, but we had the fun opportunity to participate in homecoming, and it was a great effort. We had the buildings and grounds team working from early morning to late at night. That was inspiring to see. Bob Clark and his team, Don Monticelli, really have taken this to a whole new level. And there's so many thank yous that we could say that are in order, and you would miss somebody. It was a great community effort. The best part for me was watching all of the children on the playing field. There was hundreds of children running around. That's going to be their playing field. That was joy, and I was proud to be a part of it. Welcome to the Irish Exchange, 20 years of a partnership. The Irish Exchange comes from the Carrigaline Community School in County Cork, Ireland. And we have 20 students here that are going to be here for a week, experiencing our schools, experiencing our culture. And I know that we visit the Irish schools when we go as well. So we're proud of that partnership, and we're glad that they're here, and welcome here this week. Red Ribbon Week. Try saying that when you're excited many different times. It's our opportunity to talk about healthy life choices. It's our opportunity to celebrate wellness in all of our schools. If you go in our schools this week, a couple weeks ago was homecoming. This week there's Spirit Weeks, filled with the ideas of healthy life choices. We also have our parent community forums. The information that we're sharing at these community forums is mandatory information for parents. Parents need to have this information so they could be informed, because our students go home, and we have incredible active parents, but our students go home. It's important that they understand what's happening in their lives, and they understand that there's conversations that they can have, and there's tools that they can use to interact with their children. Parents are the number one influence outside of school, and I'm excited and proud of the parent forums. First one is this Thursday. It's for grades 7th through 12th. The second forum is on November 2nd. That's for our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade parents. First time that we're going down the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, because we're finding out more than ever, parents need to understand what's occurring. And it's going to be 2 different programs that are developmentally appropriate for that particular group, but I'm proud to be a part of that, and I'm proud of the work that we do in our partnership with our Chemical Advisory Council. Congratulations to all those participating in extracurricular activities this fall. Many students are participating in sectionals right now, building memories, right? Developing lifelong skills, whether you win or you lose. Right? It's about how you come together as a team, how you support each other through the good times and the challenging times. It's exciting. We see our members of the fall play are gearing up. Our concert season will be revving up as well. So we're going to be really in full steam ahead in the next couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to being part of that. And seeing it from where I'm sitting, it's a pure joy. Seeing kindergartners in the morning, interacting with each other, joyfully playing, and going to the high school in the afternoon to be a part of leadership presentations, and students really grappling with complicated issues. It's just amazing, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm also proud that my family gets to experience that as well. Thank you to the board for that. Also, we talk about our Fairport values. We talk about who we are. During homecoming week, the 2017 Alumni Wall of Fame inductees were introduced, and that was an incredible experience. You see members from the class of 1909, right? From the class of 1944, all the way as most recently to class of 1993. There's a story being told in our community. That's really neat. And that's what gets us up in the morning. That's what helps us think about what's next for our future. I think that's what motivates our Board of Education, our deep-seated traditions of excellence and our values that we hold near and dear to us. Proud to be a part of that ceremony. And again, just another experience that celebrates who we are as a community. Who we are as a community is represented in these next slides. It's about future planning. The Board of Education has high expectations around how we plan for the future. It's important that we start understanding some basic tenets of where we are right now. Mr. Stevens has provided this chart, and we'll be talking and sharing and conversing about charts just like this in the future, but this chart in the yellow, see, it's pretty simplistic, right? Look at the yellow. From 2007 to 2015, it's fairly flat. The yellow represents our tax levy. Basically, how we pay for our programs, how we pay for all the services. We need revenues. And if you take a look at the blue, our state revenue has remained fairly flat since 2007. Now we know in 2007, the cost of utilities has gone up. The cost of healthcare has gone up. It's just a fact of life. Milk at Wegmans, gasoline, it's all on the rise. But schools, and it's just not poor Fairport, these are schools across Monroe County and the state. And I know our Board of Education has been advocating for equitable funding, making sure that we're receiving our fair share. But the fact of the matter is we are dealing with pretty much similar revenue streams. And the rate of the cost of doing business goes up. Another interesting trend that we need to understand. This is our District K through 12 enrollment since 2007 to 2016. There's been about a 2,000 student decrease in that period of time, or a 17% change in our student population. It's important to recognize that we are changing relative to our enrollment. You would also recognize from 2013 to 2017, more recently, so let's, instead of that long span, there's been about 366 students less in our district, or a 5 or 6% change. So the trends are true, the predictions are true. Our enrollment continues to decline. Now, our demographics aren't changing, meaning, people aren't moving in here at great rates. People aren't selling their homes at great rates. We're not building any extra housing developments to generate more revenue. Right? We can't control those two factors. If you take a look even further, these trends, we're going to be continuing to talk more about these trends. In 2016, like I showed you on the previous chart, we're about 5,800. To 2025, if these continue to project out, we're looking at 5,400 students. Still making us a pretty large school district in Monroe County. That's not going to change. But we have some questions and some decisions that we need to make. Just by looking at these graphs with declining enrollment. The Board of Education has expectations for future planning to occur. The Board of Education expects that we should have a transparent plan that's shared with the community, that channels people through our website, through our social media sites, that talks about educational programming. What does our community believe when it comes to the programming of our students? Who are we? What do we believe when it comes to our curriculum, K-12? Fiscal sustainability. How can we make sure that every student that are in our schools at the kindergarten level, all the way up to our students who are seniors, have similar, robust, enriching experiences? How about those kids who haven't even come through our schools yet? How can we guarantee them a high quality program? So we need to be fiscally sustainable. And of course, we have aging facilities, declining enrollment. We have an obligation to do our due diligence to make sure that we're studying how we're using all of our facilities. And the community needs to be a part of that conversation. And we're excited to be talking about our district-wide advisory council. And over the next several months, you're going to continue to hear about the district-wide advisory council. Now, at the end of this week, I will be sharing information on who will be a part of the district-wide advisory council. I've been collaborating with our our facilitators, our building principals on a balanced and fair and reasonable representation from school members and from community members. I'm also talking with union leaders to make sure that there is an equitable and fair and balanced representation on the District Advisory Council. Those who wanted to join the District Advisory Council were asked to submit, for lack of the right word, a quasi-application, and they had to write their thoughts and their qualifications, and it's been a joy reading them. But unfortunately, I can't pick everyone to be a part of the District Advisory Council. There is 150, close to 150 applicants, and we're probably going to be looking at about 60 to 70. But I can guarantee you this, everyone's going to get an opportunity to participate in the community forums. I will be sending personal invitations to all those who applied to participate in the community forums when we hold them in March. So if you registered, you're going to have an opportunity to participate. To what extent's the question? There's going to be focus groups, which will be led by the University of Rochester. These focus groups will be for school members and for community members. We'll be posting the dates and the makeup dates to really get at the core values of who we are as a community. There'll be a survey that will be sent out to community members. This will be a survey for the community, not for staff internally. The staff will have an opportunity to participate in the focus groups. If you're a staff member who lives in the community, that would include you as well. But the purpose of the District Advisory Council is to inform me, who I will in turn then inform the Board of Education on considerations for future strategic plans. And it's really kind of cool because we're really trying to get as many voices as part of this process. And as long as I've been here, that hasn't been one of our charges. I'm proud, I'm ready to engage in this process. I'm proud of the fact that the board is giving us the opportunity to reach out to the community as we reshape who we are in the next several months, or redefine or accentuate who we are. I have a little timeline here I'd like to share. I put it on one slide. The red doesn't mean more than the black. It's just trying to differentiate so I can make it on one slide. But the first District Advisory Council meeting will be on December 16th. From the 16th to the 20th, there's going to be the focus level groups where the University of Rochester will be reaching out to the school community to bring parents, staff, students, and engage them in this process through a research-based process to gather information on fiscal sustainability, educational programming, and facilities planning. You can see on December 14th, there's a full day group meeting. Really, I know we have community members that work, so this is a commitment that we're asking people to be a part of, but there's going to be lots of information in the process. And if we did it from 6 to midnight, that might not be as productive as making it a full day. So there'll be 2 full days required throughout this process so we can make sure that we're fresh in processing information. The second one is in February. But before we do that, January 2nd through the 9th, we'll be administering the community survey. And then February, we'll have that full day to review the results. In March, the District Advisory Council will be identifying major strategic initiatives, and we will begin formulating the strategic plan. Lots of sharing, lots of two-way feedback, community forums, presentations with the Board of Education. The board has made it a priority that these planning conversations occur in our public forums, so we could keep the community abreast. We'll be sharing information via our social media as well as we move along. From April to June, there'll be a strategic plan with options presented to me, who will in turn make recommendations to the Board of Education. And by July, the goal is to have a strategic plan in place. This is our best thinking at this time, and it's not, too tight, but it's a general time frame so people have an understanding of our workflow.
This is great, Brett, and I just want to throw in the DACs, the District Advisory Councils. It's a big time commitment, and we understand that, and I think you understand that more than anybody. It's a big commitment from people to be part of this. But this is, and I'm trying not to be too dramatic, but you can say this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity, because we're not going to do this often, right? This hasn't happened ever, certainly hasn't happened in a long time, and it won't happen again for a long time. So this is the opportunity we have to really come together as a community, as leadership and staff members and community members, and really talk about the future of our district. And so it's a time commitment, but again, it's a once-in-a-generation opportunity, and if you don't voice your views, we're going to lose that. We're going to miss your talent, your perspective. So it's important to be part of this as you can.
I want to emphasize something. If you're not part of the District Advisory Council, because everyone can't make that commitment, there's going to be an opportunity for you to voice your concerns, interests, thoughts, opportunities in the focus groups, taking the survey, and participating in the community forum. So not everybody could be a part of the district-wide advisory council. So that's the beauty of using these other forums to draw in feedback so we can uncover the school community's dreams for the future.
It's staff members, parents, grandparents, everybody. We want to know, everybody's thoughts around this. And there's certain parameters, guidelines to keep it focused, but it's really important that people take the opportunity to speak up.
I would like to recognize our facilitators, some of whom are here tonight. Our educational programming facilitators will be Leanna Watt, who's an assistant principal at FHS, and Janet King. They'll be the facilitators for educational programming. The fiscal sustainability group will be led by Deborah Miles and Nate Reuter, science teacher. Deborah Miles is our director of student services, and Nate Reuter is a science teacher at FHS. And our facilities management team is going to be led by or facilitated by Bob Clark, principal at FHS, and Don Young, who is a math teacher at Minerva DeLand. So we're using our internal talent along with the support of our assistant superintendents and the University of Rochester to make sure that each one of these groups is wired for productivity. And if you know the facilitators that I chose, and if you know the assistant superintendents, they are making sure that what we do and what we bring forward to the public is going to be relatable and developed with clarity and purpose, so we can uncover the dreams of our community for the future. The next several months will determine the next several years, and I'm proud to be a part of that. Just warming up now. You're gonna give me the hook, huh? All right.
Well, we know we're going to be spending a lot of time on this subject.
Yep. And we will roll this into my report as we.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Excellent, thank you. So moving on then, Matt, the Treasurer's Investment Report.
Okay, good evening. For this board meeting, we have in front of us the Treasurer's Report for the month of August 2017. We had a beginning cash balance of $30.1 million, receipts in the month of $2.7 million, disbursements of $5.3 million for an ending balance of $27.6 million. Of the cash that the district has, about approximately $20 million is still invested during the month of August. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Approval of the consent calendar containing all meetings for the month, and officially the Treasurer's Report itself, as well as donations, talk about generosity in those donations, and bid recommendations, as well as some selling of miscellaneous surplus equipment. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar? Marty, second. Maureen, all in favor? 7-0. Personnel actions, instructional staff actions, a long list, several pages 4 through 6, right, including coaches and resignations. Do I have a motion to approve that? Marty first, Judy second. questions?
Is that your first one, Judy?
There we go. Make a note. No questions, all in favor? Oh.
How are we doing on recall of the people that we had to disconnect last year? And we said they would be eligible for recall. How are we coming on that recall list?
So if you recall, we laid off we laid off some of our teachers, our teacher aides, and we also had an administrator and someone from our IT department. In some areas, we've made more progress than others. With our teachers, we continue to move through and offer opportunities really for long-term substitutes, and in some areas, we've also had some full recalls. With our teacher aides, we have worked through, not the full list, there still are 2 to 3 individuals who are still on that list, and we haven't made any progress yet on the administrator or on the IT recall.
So my question wasn't specific to them, but just to the recall concerns. Thank you.
Any others? All in favor of approval of staff actions? 7-0. Tenure appointments, both instructional and non-instructional. A motion to approve the tenure appointments. Joyce first, second. Maureen, any questions there?
I see Mr. Buddy Nyhoff is in the audience there. Congratulations, Mr. Nyhoff.
Very good. All in favor? 7-0. Congratulations again. Yeah. Non-instructional and civil service staff actions. We have new appointments, transfers, additional assignments, recall the following teacher aides there, leave of absence, retirements, and resignations. So through page 8, we have a motion to approve the non-instructional. Marty and Judy second. Any questions on this area? All in favor? 7-0. Several different memorandums of agreement, one at a time. The first one, the Student Management Systems Secretary. I won't read these necessarily, other than the titles. Do we have a motion to approve? Joyce first, Maureen, or Marty second. Questions?
So we don't need to process every one of these. I think they're all fine, but I know we've had some discussion about where these came from, because this is somewhat non-standard in terms of having all these at one time. But I did want to publicly discuss the rationale for this, where are these coming from? And again, not any one of them is incorrect, but it's just sort of non-standard to see all these at one time. So why are we seeing these at one time?
I guess, with new leadership always comes different approaches. And I think, and not one approach is better or less thought of than the other approach. There are some nuances to scheduling that occurred that would be, managed through verbal agreements. And the new leadership of the teachers union, not necessarily for this one, but for what you're referring to, is really interested in making sure that we are being true to the language of the contract. And sometimes you have to work outside the language of the contract to implement a master schedule. So I think that's what you're seeing, and we're respecting that.
Okay. So is there anything here that is new? This is documented now. This is on the record, and I think that's appropriate. But is there anything here that's different than what we've been operating under in recently?
I think it's important to note that there are 6 MOAs on here with 3 different bargaining units, okay. And what they generally represent are agreements between the district and those individual bargaining units. So some of them, like the stipend for the ERT or the overages in science, those are typically MOAs that do and have come to you in the past. Mm-hmm. Others are simply just making sure that we're memorializing through writing the way that we're operating in those instances when we're not strictly adhering to the contract. So many of them, Damon, the long-winded lawyer answer to your short question is, yes, many of them are ones that have come to you before, and in fact, there are some that are new, but it really is just an effort to be as precise as we can.
Okay, so specific to this one, D, Student Management System Secretary, any specific to that or other discussion? All in favor? 7-0, I think, Kevin. E, Memorandum of Agreement, the MOA for traveling. This one was just a couple minutes difference, right, but we had language there. Motion to approve? Joyce? Second, Damon?
When it says travel time, what does that mean?
So under the terms and conditions of the contract between the district and the FEA, a teacher who travels, meaning is assigned to more than one building, must have 30 minutes of time when the instructional period in one building ends and the instructional period in the other starts.
Okay.
So we were shy of that in this instance.
Got it. Should this say 30 minutes?
It just says in accordance with the agreement. So actually, the full memorandum does have more that's been executed by the district and the superintendent, but this is just the short version of it for the agenda.
Okay. All right, great.
Others? All in favor? 7-0. F, MOA for teaching conditions. Read through that. Maureen, motion, second. Joyce? Questions on this one? All in favor?
We've been doing this for a while.
This one, yes, is very standard to come up every year, right. 7-0, I believe. G, MOA for technology preparations. Motion to approve. Marty, second. Maureen? Any questions? All in favor? 7-0. H, MOA for science for the current school year.
You've seen that one, too.
Yes, we've seen this one every year, right?
It's even looking
Part of
familiar
what
to me.
science is because of the labs.
Because of the labs, right. Always related to the labs on this one. Motion to approve. Marty. Second, Maureen. All in favor? 7-0. And the last one, I, memorandum of agreement for emergency response team, paid stipends for the prior school year. Any question, or a motion to approve? Maureen, second, Marty. Any questions? Discussion? Okay, all in favor? 7-0. We have our monthly presentation here on the capital project update by Campus Construction.
I just want to introduce Mark Esposito from Campus Construction that'll be giving the presentation tonight.
Thank you, Mark.
Good evening.
Evening.
So we're going to give the October update for the 2015 capital improvement project. At a referendum authorization of $29.2 million. As you can see how we broke up that $29.2 million into our 5 categories. I just want to focus on the Phase 1 construction contracts of the $15.7 million. This is the contracts have to be completed and submitted to SED by the end of this calendar year, so the district can start their aid process on that, and that's something we'll be working on and updating in that upcoming slides. So a construction contingency budget update. We started with $131,575 after we awarded the Phase 2 contracts. We currently still have a approved credit value of $412,934, leaving us just under $545,000 worth of construction contingency as we near the completion of this project. Phase 1, 99% complete. We're just completing the final documentation. And then Phase 2 is 90% complete as we're getting through some of our punch list items in the other buildings and wrapping up here at the high school. We have not spent any of our construction contingency, with that being a negative amount. We do have some contract allowances that are built in there for just under $130,000 have been used up. of $155,000. Those are something that we'll be drawing down to a 0 point as we get ready to finalize our contracts. And we are currently tracking about $345,000 worth of pending items that came through the summer, and currently just in the process of vetting out the pricing to make sure it's where it needs to be, and looking to be processing that paperwork in the coming months. So you're going to start seeing that 0 come out of the pending items and really start going up against that construction contingency for approved change orders here in the next couple of months as we get through the documentation.
Can you give us an example of a pending issue or item?
Pending item is some millwork changes that happened over the summer of a design didn't look finalized the way it was. We changed that out and added some additional millwork. So right now that has been priced, material's been ordered, and now it's just getting through the paperwork process that has to go through SED's change order process for that being approved. So that's something that we'll be working on. To give an update on that phase 1, so this is the $15.7 million. The roofing has been completed at all buildings. The warranty inspections have been walked through on each one of the roofs, and paperwork has been approved. Punch list items have been completed as of this week, and the contractors are completing their final closeout documentation, which are the as-built drawings, the O&M manuals, the warranties for the district to have, so when the project's completed, they can go back and resurrect what happened on the project if needed to find any issues. And then the final cost reports will be submitted by December. At phase 2 here at the high school, the boys and girls locker rooms are completed and being used by the district. All of the main lobby renovations are completed. The terrazzo base is getting installed now throughout that lobby space, with all of the other terrazzo floor work completed throughout the building corridors. Main entrance landscaping, as everyone can see coming into the building, has been completed, and I have some photos to show of that. The main entrance canopy and the back events entrance canopy, the metal panel system has begun getting installed here, so you'll start seeing that. Marble panel replacement, we ran into a little bit of a field condition as we pulled those off, so we have some slight modifications. We have some photos we'll be able to show of that, but that panel replacement's happening here at the high school, and then we'll be moving over to Minerva DeLand to finish off there, or excuse me, Martha Brown. Auditorium seat install is going very well for the completion at the end of this week. For next week, we'll be able to use by the district is ongoing with the carpet installation happening right now. And then contractors have punch list items of areas that we've already turned over to the district to make sure we complete those as they're still here on site working. We're having a big push for those items. Over at Martha Brown, I talked about the marble panel replacement. Will be going on after the high school. Northside Dudley, all of the work is substantially complete, where we had some electrical and mechanical work happen in the building, the playground, and then the site restoration. And then Minerva DeLand, all the doors and controls are installed, and we're just going through some punch list items to make sure those doors are operating in the operations of theory that was provided in the spec book. So just some looks of some pictures around campus. We have at Northside, just to show that the grass has been growing in with the great growing season that we've had. Same thing over at Dudley, where we had a lot of land disrupted over the summertime. We've been able to get good substantial growth back. Over at the high school area, as you enter into the campus, you have the berm with the FHS and the wall that has been completed. And have just a couple different looks at that, so you get to see from above up on the roof with all the sidewalk, and you start to see that design that was inputted there with a little bit of the different concretes.
Mark, we're going to be, it's worth noting, holding a celebration, project completion, not necessarily a ribbon cutting, but an opportunity for the community to come and hold an open house to share some of the great work that's been accomplished. And tour our facilities. We'll be doing a weeknight in the near future and a weekend morning to, again, showcase the work that's been done. So please stay tuned.
Yep. So just another angle of the front landscape area.
What is hydro seed?
Hydro seed? Yeah, really? It is a form of seeding that is actually sprayed instead of going out and shaking grass seed out, and it's connected actually to a fertilizer, so it enables it to grow a little bit faster, and that's what makes it green.
I'm old.
So
So look at the entrance wall. Some of the landscaping behind that. Yeah, a lot of site work was done here in the past few weeks.
So,
on the
Mr.
front end of this
Stevens,
building.
I'm going to put you on the spot here because, Mr. Forsgren had the same question. Go back to the Fairport High School. This is a great question. This is the $1 million question. So,
Don't you want to break out your level?
so Matt was there. I was pulling in. He was measuring.
No, I believe they were. I never wanted to, but they just, that optical
The grade.
illusion of the wall. Right, yep, the angle.
I just had to. I'm sorry, but great
That
minds,
3D factor. So again, the landscaping, this is the entrance, main entrance canopy with the metal panels. Right now, this is when the lights were getting installed into this. And same thing on the back canopy for the events entrance. This is a look of the marble panel replacement where we have the brown areas, I'm going to call them, is where we've removed them. And I'll look up close. When we pulled these off, the steel it's not a flat surface. The steel is actually protruded out. So for our new panels, we actually have to shim out that wall so we have a flat surface to be able to put our new panels on. So that's something it was a little unforeseen, but now we're starting to progress with the installation of this process. I'll look at another one of the single stall restrooms that has been substantially completed. We have turned over 6 of those a week and a half ago, and then the rest are getting turned over this week. So we'll have all of the bathrooms substantially complete and in usable form by the district by the end of this week. I'll look into the auditorium where we have the new sound booth has been installed. And this was at the end of the second day of the seat installation. And we were just down there before the meeting, and all 3 sections of seats have been installed. And now we're bringing up the carpet runners with the lighting that goes on the side of those is currently being installed for the completion of the auditorium. Any questions? All right.
Mark, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark, and to your team. It's a great working relationship, and we appreciate all the effort and attention to detail to get the work done.
Thank you very much. You guys have a great evening.
You too. So item 12 on the agenda, board discussions and action items. We have several things to approve. First one, the approval of the 2018-19 budget calendar. Thank you first, Matt, for making the changes we requested back in the workshop to the budget calendar. So we need a motion to approve that. Marty first, Joyce second. Any questions or other discussions around that? No, all in favor? 7-0. Board policies, first reading, as listed there. Motion to approve. Maureen, second. Kevin? Any questions on those policies?
I always think they should just be child abuse, don't. There's a
Yes.
policy.
One word policy,
That's it.
right?
Don't.
Yeah,
Don't have any homeless children either,
yeah.
but educate them when you do.
Just reading through that, it almost breaks your heart just reading. They think that you have children in that situation. Any questions or things? All in favor of accepting the first reading? 7-0. Agreement for professional consultant services. This is, motion to approve? Kevin, second. Joyce? This discussion, just if you want to clarify, we had done this once, but there were slight changes you mentioned, right? So we're
Correct. This was previously, this was approved at a previous board meeting. This is with the strong U of R. And when the contract came back to the district, there was an additional signature line of which they had wanted an additional person on their side to sign. And then the way in which the hours were indicated on the attachment were worded differently. So in essence, doing things the right way and having the correct contract signed. No material changes to the agreement itself, just those 2 minor immaterial changes.
I think we're seeing why the audit comes out so well, right? Is attention to details like this and the other agreements we've agreed with today. So, yep, nope, it gives us great comfort overall. So, any questions related to that? All in favor? We've approved it once, we've approved it again. D, resolution for approval of the Rochester Area School Health Plan 2 Municipal Cooperation Agreement. This is RASH, as we commonly refer to, right? And get the update every year at the Monroe County School Boards, Labor Relations, and other committees. So we need a motion to approve that. Marty first, second Joyce. Any questions around the resolution itself?
Is this new? I see the Roman numeral 2, and I know we've had this RASH plan for quite a while. It's just making it current, or are there new pieces to it as well that has the number 2 with it?
No, so over the past couple of years, RAF 2 has been taking a more serious look at the self-funding option of going Article 47. It's not really new to the cooperative itself because it's always been looked at over the years, but with the Affordable Care Act, there is a health insurers tax that employers have to pay, of which for the cooperative is a little over $7 million. So by going self-insured, it would make it so that the cooperative did not have to pay that health insurers tax, which is a pretty significant savings overall to the cooperative, spread across obviously each district that's in the cooperative. So we've been back and forth with DFS, the Department of Financial Services, as they have dissected the application process and coming back and forth, and they finally came back and approved the municipal cooperative agreement itself. We're not yet approved to go self-funded. However, this is the next step in the process, is to have this approved by each board in the cooperative at each district, and then be signed by either a superintendent or a business official, depending on what districts. Typically, superintendent to sign the cooperative agreement. So that is the.
I know we've had it in the past. I was just wondering what the new part was. Thank you.
Yep, sure.
It's good that we're at least making some progress towards self-funding to save that $7 million tax, but you can imagine cynically there's no rush on the state side to lose some of that, or the federal side, so to make those approvals.
Would that be $7 million total or for us?
Total. That's for the that is that is the annual savings within the cooperative's budget. So the budget itself is about $240 million. So it's a large, 15,000 contracts in the cooperative. So it's a large savings for the cooperative itself. I want to say I can't remember, 3% overall on rates, roughly. So it would be an annual savings that would be there for each year. There's some reporting requirements that districts would have to do individually that is just part of being self-funded, but very minimal cost on that side of it. So, yeah, this is a major savings for the cooperative itself.
Great. Any other questions? All in favor? 7-0. Building level emergency response plans. Need a motion to approve those plans. Damon and Kevin, second. Questions around those? It can't be questions, actually, of this. We'd have to enter into executive session. These are not for public consumption.
I had the opportunity to review some of them as I was sitting on the emergency group committee, and they are very comprehensive, and they speak to the individual pieces of each building so that particular things happen, but because of the security level, we don't want to say, oh, if this happens, then this is what will happen as a result of it. You don't want that publicly known, but every principal has had a look at this, everybody involved has had looks at these, and was very pleased with what they saw, and it was a very serious undertaking last year.
These are they're also certified, or they're certified at the state level or at the local law enforcement level? I mean, they have to be reviewed.
Well, certified, I don't know if that's the correct terminology.
Yep.
They were properly vetted. We had people on our district-wide safety team who were first responders, from our police chief to our sheriff representatives to actual first responders, firemen, people who deal, so they vetted these plans, and we have to submit them to our local agencies. But there's no formal certification. There are, however, requirements that we need to adhere to, and those requirements were strictly adhered to throughout the development of each one of these district plans and the building plans.
Thanks, Maureen, for everyone who served on those, getting these in shape. So, all in favor? 7-0. F, our financial audit, acceptance of the audit. Motion to approve that. Joyce and Marty, second. Any further questions or discussions? All in favor? 7-0. Approval of school-sponsored field trips, item G, motion to approve. Maureen and Damon, second. Any questions, discussions? All in favor? 7-0. H, and this is where Minerva DeLand's been quite busy creating new clubs. We'll do these all individually, right, I guess? H, the new extra classroom activity, the first one, the coding club. Motion to approve. Judy, second by Maureen. All in favor? 7-0. Aye.
I have to say on the coding thing, like Python is, the scripting is awesome, and it's so prevalent, it's almost ubiquitous in industry right now, so it's impressive. I'm actually doing a coding or a Python scripting online class myself.
Is that like Hydroseed?
Well, it could be blockchain, all that stuff. But I mean, this is impressive. It's pretty cool. So that's great. Those are great skills to give to kids. So well done.
Damon, we've recently approved a number of our teachers to take some in-service classes in these areas as well. So I know our educators are also excited about this.
Cool. I mean, it's the modern Pascal, right? Or C programming or whatever. It's good.
Great.
C++.
So exciting, right at the 9th grade level, getting that.
Well, there's something that was going on last year. Didn't they have something at the elementaries as well, in the middle school? They did something temporarily or something?
As far as our hack labs?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that, well.
They were doing a little bit of it, not
Yeah,
a lot.
and I know that
It's a good start.
we'll be talking more about in the very future with our director of STEM, Kristen Larson,
Great.
some of the great things that we're doing K-12.
Good.
Awesome. So the next one, extra classroom activity, is the art club at Minerva DeLand. Motion to approve the art club. Judy, and second, Marty. Love it that it's back to back with coding personally. So glad that we're seeing both sides. Yep, believe in STEAM, right? All in favor? 7-0. Next extra classroom activity, I'm going to stop saying that, the American Sign Language class. Motion to approve that. Joyce and Marty, second. All in favor? Very funny, Kevin. Very good.
This next one.
K, for the personal computer building. We should all get in on that one. Motion to approve. Marty, second. Damon? All in favor?
Can we ask a question about
Quickly,
that?
yes, sorry, yes, questions.
Well, I mean, is anybody here that can, I'm not sure who I'm asking this question to, but are you buying kits here, or are you buying components?
So
You're destroying the computers first. You can have mine.
Oh,
so-
you're
Then
destroying
rebuild
both?
them.
I could get specifics on the actual club. It was in the write-up. I don't
Yeah,
have it.
I mean, I built one with my son
Did
a
you?
long time ago, and he bought a kit and a book and took it through how to put it all together. It ended up being more costly than buying the computer. But
Is that
it's a
because of
good,
mistakes,
it's a good experience, right? To really understand the components of a computer and how they fit together. I'm just curious, like, how this all works, but, when you have time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All in favor? We already voted 7-0. And then the claims auditor report, we haven't had any specifics on there. There were no significant findings either, but motion to approve. Maureen, second. Marty, questions on that? That was available for everybody to see, right? But the Audit Finance Committee did go over this one as well, and met our new claims auditor. But well done. So we'll be seeing these, what did we decide, every 6 months? We're going to get them on the audit committee every quarter?
We said quarterly.
Quarterly. So we'll approve them more frequently than we have done in the past, but we'll see them monthly in the audit and finance committee. So, any questions? All in favor? 7-0. Then any board comments?
Well, I have a couple.
Absolutely.
So I, just in the news in general, right? So we're, and trying not to be political, but when you see, when you there's a lot of discussion around federal policies that will impact healthcare, Medicaid at a state level, state and local tax deductions, for example, whatever, tax reforms, all those federal policies will impact ultimately state budgeting, right? Because New York State only has so much revenue and they carve up the expenditures. So if they're getting less Medicare, Medicaid from the federal government, they'll have to pay for that themselves. All that puts public education funding at risk. So just understand, I know that we all do, but from an advocacy perspective, we always have to watch out for what's going to impact at a state level, because ultimately, if New York has to pay for one thing, they take it away from education a lot of times. So
That was the one thing that Governor Cuomo, if I may interject, made clear in the last budget, to be able to withhold funds if Medicaid funding did not come through.
Right.
That was an intentional piece of his.
Right. So there's federal policies by Betsy DeVos on an education level that are directly applicable to our school district, but then there's this other stuff that ends up hitting us through the back door. So just something to keep an eye on. And just another commentary, I spent an afternoon on Saturday having a discussion with somebody, a really technology advocate within the district. And Brett, you had a very similar conversation with the same individual, and you put together a great summary of your conversation, which was really a lot like what I had. And I think there was a lot of context and but it was a great conversation, not hostile in any way, but it made a lot of good points, right? And I think we need to have a longer discussion as a board, probably during a workshop or a retreat, around technology and how we want to, we have great pockets of technology happening within the district. And I think today, the clubs that we endorsed are great examples of good things. But my question would be, we're offering kids in the 9th grade to learn about Python scripting. Well, what happens to those kids in the 10th grade or 11th grade, right? How do they continue to build on those skills? Because they're going to get in the 9th grade. If we don't offer anything to them in the high school, then by the time they graduate, they're going to lose those skills. So just more cohesive planning around the district. And I know Kristen Larson is a great chair or head of this department, but I think it's worth having a conversation about.
And we've talked about developing a report for the Board of Education to peruse. We'll share that report, and if the board as a whole wants to continue the conversation, we'll invite Ms. Larson and Cass Wheeler, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, to be front and center of that conversation, because I know that there's so many incredible things that are occurring in our curricular investments in K through 12th grade that I think a thoughtful, careful report that speaks to that spiral and how we're vertically aligning it is definitely the foundation of that conversation. And then from there, you'll have great questions, and we could talk about how we're making progress and to what extent we're making progress.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
And I'd like to make a comment, if you don't mind, to add to what you said about homecoming. First time I've been able to be there in a while, and it has changed from back when I was in school. And homecoming used to be, let's cheer for the football team, let's cheer for the cheerleaders. And this became every sports team that we had this year. This became every building. They had their own cheers. Now, as when we were on our board visit to Jefferson Avenue, we saw the Jefferson Avenue team begin to get their cheer ready and so forth. And you had to have seen 3,000 or 4,000 kids on the hill, each one cheering for their school. And it was like you said, they were running on the field later, but that time when we cheered for every single team, we had the bonfire, we had the fireworks. I go back on the bus, because I came with the Dudley Northside, and both going there and coming back, I talked to the kindergartners that were on the bus. So the Dudley kindergartners were sharing with me the Dudley song. They knew it. They had won because they've got the tiniest voices. It was just a community outpouring. And from the kindergarten point of view, I want to say thank you to whoever decided to put the Star Wars theme along with the fireworks, because every kid, all those 3 or 4 kindergartners, they were all excited. They knew that music. They knew and it was just such a wonderful opportunity for us to celebrate Fairport and to see the families that were out there. It was not just a small group of people, it was the entire community, and the buses were just filled going back and forth as far as I could see. So as a participant, rather than an official, I just really enjoyed it and want to say kudos to, we have talked about how are we inclusive, how are we trying to build our whole community, and it was something that really showed forth this week, and I wanted to say thank you to everyone who was involved in that.
You're here. My family and
I
I
was
enjoyed it.
cheerleading for homecoming.
It's becoming a great tradition. Others?
How was Lake Placid?
I was going to say thank you for the chance to go to Lake Placid, even though we missed homecoming as a result. It was excellent. You know, we did have to leave on Saturday because I had a family wedding at night, but we had solid sessions on Friday, and we had Young Zao on Thursday night with, I think, very positive outcomes for Fairport. So it was really excellent.
Good. That's great. Also, thank you for attending Labor Relations this week.
Tomorrow, yeah.
On my behalf.
I'll
If
be
you can
there
take
tomorrow.
notes or
Yeah.
if they have handouts, I'd be very interested in hearing about it. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
great.
important to have
Thanks
it.
for going though.
Nobody else is going.
I was going to volunteer, but if you're going to cover it, I will refrain. Okay, anyone else? Very good. Then we need official motion to adjourn to executive session or enter into executive session. Do I have to read that? For the purpose of discussing contractual negotiations on 2 collective bargaining units. So motion to approve, Kevin. Second, Damon. All in favor? 7-0. It's not anticipated that we'll be taking any actions when we leave executive session, so I'll bid everybody adieu for the night.